Good evening, everyone. I am Mansi Gupta, an associate member at Legal Law Forum, Nagpur. We at Legal Law Forum endeavors to promote legal education and awareness through various legal educational activities. We believe in encouraging young law students and helping them to resolve the gap between those who come from the legal background and those who can't come in a legal background. Today, we have with us an outstanding advocate, Pallavi Pratap. I would ask Saloni, our coordinator today, to introduce a guest with us.
Thank you so much, Mansi. So the topic for today's session is about the impact of media trial on criminal trials. And for enlightening us on this topic and sharing her knowledge with us, we have Advocate Pallavi Pratap, ma'am, who is the advocate of Record Supreme Court of India, managing partner with Pratap and Company. She is qualified MBA LLB in civil and criminal law with over 10 years of experience in Supreme Court of India. She is detail-oriented with excellent arguments and research skills, briefing senior advocates. She is expert at drafting legal documents such as special petitions, appeals, arbitration repetitions, rejoinders, affidavits, written statements, etc. Ma'am has done her bachelor's degree in law from the Lucknow University. She has done her MBA degree from the La Trobe University, Melbourne, Australia. She is enrolled with the Bar Council of Uttar Pradesh, Allahabad. Talking about ma'am's representation, ma'am has represented state governments in matter, working along with advocates on records and senior advocates. She has represented nationalized banks and insurance companies in suit against them. He has represented her clients in National Green Tribunal and Consumer Forum, National Commission, etc. Ma'am is now managing various cases in Honorable Supreme Court of India, High Court, National Green Tribunal, NCDRC, NCLAC, NCLT arbitration. She is well versed with the various subjects of the law like Indian Penal Code, contracts, etc. She is also well versed with the procedure of the Supreme Court of India and the functioning of registry and central law agency. She is practicing in Honorable Supreme Court of India for 10 years. She is proficient in scrutinizing, inspecting, and guiding in all legal matters with effective communication, leadership, and problem solving skills. Ma'am is also member of the following Supreme Court Bar Association, Supreme Court Advocates on Record Association, Bar Council of India, UP. Ma'am has also received many awards, like in 2019, she got the award of Most Promising Lawyer of the Year Award 2018 by Legal Desire magazine, and in 2020, she awarded VW Legal Award called 40 Under 40 Lawyers of the Year Award. It's an honor for us to have ma'am with us. Now, it's over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mansi and Saloni, for having me here, and thank you, Shivam. Shubham, for having me here and giving me the opportunity. It's been a very interesting topic that has been given to me, and I think it's extremely relevant also just now because we can see so much of the discussion which is taking place on this specific topic. So I'd actually like to start with my presentation that I've made for this, and I hope that that should give a better understanding in terms of what it is that I want to talk about. So here you are. I hope you're able to see this.
Yes, ma'am. Perfect.
Alright. So the topic was about adverse impact of media trials in criminal cases. Although we just try to talk about media trials in criminal cases because it's not always, the interference with media is not always negative in terms of what we've seen in so many years. Um, to begin with, if I don't know how many of you would remember, but there were so many cases where the media had actually brought about a change, had actually helped, in establishing the guilt of the accused people. where maybe there was a possibility that a trial would not take place, or there was a possibility that the accused persons would go scot free. Uh, some of the cases that come to my mind are there was definitely Jessica Lal case. I think Jessica Lal has been one case where media, by ensuring that the voices do not die down, ensure that the accused persons were convicted and given life sentence for the crime that they had committed. Similarly, there was this case of British Katara, which again, as a result of the media, the accused persons were put behind the bar. But to my mind, I remember the Ruchika Villanova case. I think that was one case which has always come as a watershed moment in that sense. I don't know how many of you would know about this case, but I would just very quickly give you these brief facts of the case. So Ruchika was a young girl, I think about 16 or 18 years of age, and she used to go and play badminton or one of the key sports in one of the sports clubs where there was a very senior official who would come, and he had molested her. Now she did definitely go and register her complaint, etc., but nothing happened against the police officer because the police officer was a senior police officer. Then, unfortunately, because of all the harassment that she had to go through in order to seek justice, which was so well deserved for her, she was harassed, she was bullied, she committed suicide. It is that time when the media actually picked up the news and started to dig deeper. And it was some 19 years later, uh, once the incident took place, some 19 years went by, but the accused person was finally convicted. And I think that in itself speaks volumes about uh, how media was really helpful in making sure that justice was given. Similarly, there was the case of Vedashika in Delhi where this young college girl was harassed by another police officer, and in that case also we see that media played a very positive role. And this is why media was always called as the fourth pillar of democracy. It was not just the three people, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary which was appointed. The fourth pillar in media was extremely important. But what we have seen recently is that increasingly uh, media houses are being taken over by business houses, and these business houses obviously have their own agendas, and therefore we see that there is no independent media as such that we see. We see that the independence of media therefore has gone away. We also see that a lot of the stories that are being shown on TV, especially as far as news channels are concerned, we see that it is primarily to push one agenda or to get more TRP, because it is all business now and not so much as activism as one would have wanted it to be. Now, I should move forward and then talk more about different instances and a lot of cases, especially the Bombay case which is going on just now, where we see, um, or the case in UP just now, where we see that there has been so much inroad of media into the private lives of people. But before that, let me just take you through this slide where this is an important document I wanted to write down. And the driven force for all communication is the freedom of speech and expression under Article 19(1)(a) of the Indian Constitution. It therefore includes the right to propagate one's views through the print media or through any other communication channel, such as on radio, television, and on social media. So now we are not just restricting ourselves with media, we are also looking at social media as being one of the most prominent, platform through which news is getting disseminated. And what we see, and this was very interesting. I was watching one of the TV debates, I think a couple of weeks ago, and there was a discussion where there was a very important person who comes from advertising agencies, one of the doyens of advertising agencies, said that in a couple of years' time we will see that all the drama that is being generated by the news channels, uh, right now people are watching it because that is their source of entertainment. News has become the source of entertainment. News is where you get your daily dose of drama, and that therefore people are so engrossed watching it. But there is a huge section of society which does not really watch news but remains up to date with news. And how is it that they do that? And that is primarily where we see the role of social media coming in, where we see that I might have subscribed to different apps of different specific news related things that I want to see. Maybe it could be news laundry, it could be some other thing, or maybe I'm just following on Twitter what is happening and I get my daily dose of news. But when it comes to watching news channels, we see that there is a lot of drama that is happening. There's a lot of entertainment that is provided, which, as per this drawing of advertising agencies, said that in a couple of years' time, uh, this daily entertainment that people are so fixated with will move from these news channels and then go to social media. And so, whatever the news channels are doing in order to build up their PR team is not going to last forever. And I feel that that is a very wise manner in which to look at, for the simple reason that definitely I feel um, news as it is just now is going to change, and I hope it changes for positive. Now, coming to the articles, especially freedom of speech, we all know that fundamental rights always have these legal restrictions, and without doubt, we can all say that I think that the legal restriction which is put in as far as our freedom to speech and expression is concerned is missing as of now when we look at media trials that are happening. Now, like I said, there are restrictions, and we've all seen those restrictions. The exercise of this right, however, can be restricted by our Constitution on the grounds of sovereignty and integrity of the country, security of the state, friendly relations with foreign state, public order, decency or morality, or in relations to contempt of court, defamation, or incitement to offence as placed in Article 19 Clause 2 of the Constitution of India. So, like I said, any right that is given to us comes with its own legal restrictions, and that is something that unfortunately a lot of us see is not being practiced at the moment as far as the country is concerned. Now, what is the concept of media trial? Now, this is where I would like to, and take you through what is trial within. What are the different stages of trial, and why is it that we see so much, media trial which has started to happen recently? Now, as far as trial is concerned, there are three stages to any criminal trial that takes place. The first stage is that of discovery of facts, which is also called as investigation. So, the first stage of any trial would be where the police officers are conducting their investigation and trying to figure out who's the accused person, and trying to get evidence to that effect and ensure that that evidence, etc., is used in order to propagate the and unearth the truth behind a specific case. Now, when we look at this, this is where I will say that a reasonable involvement of media should be appreciated. Why I say that is because when we are looking at discovery of facts, so many times we are looking at, you know, um, uh, statements being recorded before the media, as we saw just now in the UP case, where a sort of a dying declaration can be said to have been given by the victim to a private news channel. So we've seen that, at the stage of discovery of facts or at the stage of investigation, a media house or a media channel going ahead and contributing into that aspect is always a positive, a positive thing, and that should be appreciated. But when we go into the second stage, which is where the charge sheet is filed for final reporting. So, for instance, when the charge sheet is filed and there was supposed to be A, B, C, D, four people who were the accused person, the charge sheet gets filed against two people and two people are acquitted, then the media should refrain from, uh, building up case against those two people unless and until there is some very strong evidence. For the simple reason that then that causes a lot of distrust, causes, uh, sensationalism, which is what media wants to do, to sensationalize the news, and that definitely leads to defamation. So, in my opinion, when it comes to say, stage two, as far as charge sheet is concerned, that at that level, this whole public court aspect of media should be stopped, and that media trial should stop at that stage. Coming to the third stage of the trial is the actual trial that takes place, and that is the part where conviction takes place. So, for instance, if we look at Sunanda Pushkar case, uh, uh, we've seen that there has been a huge media trial that has taken place against a specific person. An abetment of suicide case has been filed against that person, things like that, which primarily means that if the trial keeps taking place outside of court and into a public court where a news channel is conducting an entire trial, then I think that is going to definitely influence, you know, uh, people, because judges will also include you. They are not away from us. They are not away from what is happening in the society. Similarly, police officers or the investigating officers are also part of the society. They are also human beings, and you cannot stop them from being influenced by whatever is happening around them and the kind of information that they are bombarded with. So I feel, just because they want that their TRP should be get increased, this whole media trial should not take place. Now, I have informed you about the three stages of trial, and where is it that we find that media trial is acceptable is at the discovery stage. However, what we've started to see is that news channels have started to bring their own experts, and people are giving their own opinions about everything that is happening. So what then happens is that the truth gets buried somewhere, and it is very difficult to dug out the truth, because there are opinions and there are opinions and there are opinions, but there is uh, no manner in which you can look at the truth being told. And definitely, any such influences. Uh, the judges were there. For instance, if you will remember the 2G case, it was very clearly, seen that the matter which was supposed to be tried at the trial court level and then gone to Supreme Court, and that is where the Supreme Court became the court of first instance, which is not something that has really happened in this country. And also does not really support the judicial system that we have. So, and later we saw that every single accused, as far as Kundi trial was concerned, was acquitted because there was no evidence, because there was nothing which was there. But it was only an overture that happened as a result of media reporting and misreporting, and so many witnesses spread, which caused grave distress to that sector also. I mean, the telecom sector, if you look at it, had really deteriorated as a result of that. So I feel that these are important areas that one needs to look at, and that somehow these news channels and media houses should be made responsible for what they are doing. Now, coming to I think this photograph speaks volumes about the media trial that we have. Why people are hounded by press to uh, just get a bite, to just get a clip, to just get a shot, to just get that tear rolling down the cheek of someone. These are the things that everybody wants to see, but just because you want to pin someone down does not mean that you can actually do that to that person for the rest of their lives. Or you cannot take down a person. I think this photo speaks volumes about the manner in which media has become, you know, like vultures trying to get a piece of someone. Now, looking at fair trial versus freedom of press, we see that the media has come in focus in its role in the trial of Sushant Singh's death case. Now, you know what is surprising is that there are 24 reports which are coming. There's a postmortem report that comes, and there is another AIMS report that comes. And if there is a report that is coming by, institutions, there is a report that is coming by someone who is who has that kind of expertise and who can give that report. That also gets questioned by media because it seems that everybody else has a wrong intention and only media seems to have the right intention. That cannot be considered to be the correct approach for the simple reason that if there are evidence to lead to the fact that there was a suicide which was committed, not really a murder that took place, then this whole incident needs to be given a quietus. If you do not give quietus to some incident that has taken place, then you are not doing justice to the memory of the person who died. So the concept of media trial is not something which is a new concept, and the role of media was debated in Pallavi Pratap case and likewise in many other high-profile cases which are discussed before. There have been numerous instances in which media has been accused of conducting the trial of the accused and passing the verdict even before the court passes its judgment, like I discussed. Now, Honorable Justice who retired judge from the Honorable Supreme Court, while addressing Bar Council of India meet at Chennai in 2015, cited pressure on the judiciary during the media rape case and had remarked that media trials in pending cases should be avoided and thereby judges saved by the enormous strain that is created by it. And he says, and I quote, please stop trying cases in the media until a case is over. Never try a case in the media. It creates a lot of pressure on judges. They are also human beings. And this is something that we discussed just a little while ago, where I was saying that judges are also they are human beings, and what we've also increasingly seen is that the daily concept as far as criminal law is concerned is that a person is considered to be innocent unless proven guilty. So there is a reasonable doubt which is there. But we see that increasingly that has been replaced by something which is called as presumption of guilt, which the media imposes on the accused person, and we see that even if there is no evidence against a person, in the eyes of public, he will be considered to be guilty. And it is a huge pressure, it's a huge burden for a person who is completely innocent to carry for the rest of his life, his or her life. There was a saying that Ramdev Malani, the advocate, had said, which said that trial by media is nothing but a breach of law, and that holds true even today. If you look at it, and if you look at the law also, we see that the Cable TV Act actually very clearly says that there should be no communal, instigation which should be done by media houses, and we very recently seen a specific TV getting into that role in that entire issue, and that involved because of, and which kind of gave rise to criminal tension as well. Then there is also the impunity issue that we've been seeing increasingly, that people are not treated as human beings, and they are being judged and they are being harassed for things which are countless. And there is very clear cut mention in the KBTV Act that this will all be considered to be contempt of court, but we rarely see something like this happen. We've also seen that there is supposed to be, it's not just the ministry, but there should be some industry body which should be also, which should have public participation also, by the way. We should be regulating what is being shown on the news channel. And we've seen it increasingly that there is no such body that exists. And this is why the media houses, and especially the news channel, have such a free hand which is given to them. So we've seen that unless and until such an industry body is created, I doubt that that kind of a regulation can come. And there is although a body which is called as NBSA, but is a body which is made by active participation of only those channels who want to be part of it. So they are regulated through that body because they are part of that channel, of that agency. But then it is not an umbrella broadcasting association, so it's not that everybody else comes into in that association. Now, looking at this this debate which was conducted on News channel, which was basically the first of its kind debate on media trial, where all the senior advocates had participated, and they had talked about this entire state of affairs. He had said that rule of law has replaced rule of law. And Mr. Salvi also commented that the Indian judicial system in the high profile case has become a circus, and that media does not believe in anything called as law of evidence. So for them, evidence doesn't matter. They do not understand how an evidence is treated. As a matter of fact, so many times we see that they are basically trampling the evidence that is there, and that is for the prosecution. So he had cited the 2G scan case, and I would like to discuss about it over here, where Mr. Salvi had cited the example of Sameer Mittal, who was an accused in the 2G scan case, and though the only evidence for conspiracy cited by CBI was that he had attended the wedding of the daughter of the telecom secretary, Salvi said the media reports thundered as CBI nailed him. Now, the courts threw out the CBI evidence, but by the time enough trauma had been caused to Mittal and his family, and that is what we increasingly see. If we look at, we are talking about the case also just now. I think the kind of problems that her family has faced, that has been extremely grievous. And the injury that was caused to her reputation has been huge. Also, I don't know if you've been following, but there was someone who was accusing another, an actress who was accusing a director on two allegations, and she quoted another actress saying derogatory things about her. And this actress actually approached the Bombay High Court, and the actress who was accusing was then asked to publicly apologize for taking her name. And now it seems that one has started to go to the court just to ensure that that defamation does not happen, because it is so important to fight for one's own words. Now, similarly, in this event also we've seen Dr. A.M. Singh, and I really recommend every one of you to watch that video. It's available on YouTube, which gives a very brilliant understanding about it. Where Dr. A.M. Singh also said that when India claims the exalted status of the fourth pillar of democracy, then we have to be prepared to face the slings and arrows of scrutiny just as much and more as the other three pillars, while acknowledging that the media has done some sterling work in investigation and news gathering. He warned that the aberrations in media are now getting bigger and bigger these days. Um, Over here, I would also like to add that now we've also started to see that the kind of dirt which is lying in media houses themselves have started to come out in public for the simple reason that you cannot really be for how long will you be hiding the skeletons in your cupboard? They will anyway fall out one day. So we've been seeing that, and we see that you know like the recent TRP scandal that we saw on TV. Even though it's a prima facie case, but we see that these kind of things are being done just to gain TRP and just to make money out of poor people and their simple lives. Uh, this was a BK case, which was there in 1961 in Supreme Court, where it was remarked, and this is a case about 1961, so it's a long time back when there was not so much media, but only newspapers were there. So here it said that no doubt it would be mischievous for a newspaper and other media to systematically conduct an independent investigation into a crime for which a man has been arrested and publish the details of the investigation. This is because trial by newspapers, when a trial by one of the regular tribunals of the country is going on, must be prevented. The basis for this view is that such action on the part of the newspaper tends to interfere with the course of justice, whether the investigation tends to prejudice the accused or the prosecution. So this was way back in 1961. Imagine what the Supreme Court should say as far as what is happening just now is concerned. Similarly, we also saw that in Arushi Talwar's case, the media kept hounding. Um, this is just a pointer that in the close of 2 months that it took for the investigation to deal the victim's father's innocence, the media speculated day in and day out about the father's guilt, about the reputation of the young girl, in the process tarnishing reputations all over. Talwar case has seen trial and conviction by media in extended, unrestrained, and unrelenting form. And I think the kind of reputation that they tarnished of the young girl, it was really really sad. Similarly, this is definitely the last slide, and we have been going on for a long time. But the longer it takes for the case to be satisfactorily solved, the longer media lives the law in the most incredible manner possible. And the competitive commercialization of the press and electronic media also calls for interest. So I think this entire debate that we've been seeing of media houses and on the specific topics, every single incident is blown out of proportion and is discussed and torn apart into bits and pieces which are so disorienting. And secondly, I feel that we've been seeing a lot of witch hunting which is happening. We're seeing that in all this entire mess, women are the ones who are suffering the most. We are seeing that how media houses and press has been harming only women, as if men have stopped committing any crime. So I feel it is important for all of us to look into this. Now, as my last slide and conclusion, uh, no freedom, however sacred it may be, can be absolute. This is also true of press freedom. Not only the freedom of press is subject to laws of the land, such as contempt and libel, but also is responsible to the society itself. It should accept certain responsibilities in the discharge of its function. The press has an obligation, voluntary and self-imposed, that in presentation of truthful news and fair comment, it adheres to certain norms of decency and decorum, and that it does not indulge in vulgarity, obscenity, character assassination, violation of citizens' privacy, and incitement to offense, disorder, and desecration of the government. I think this is a very impactful line, and I leave you all to this. Contemplate on the adverse impact that we see just now of trial being conducted by media, and I'll be happy to take up questions now.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You have really explained pretty well, and I understood everything related to this. So, ma'am, as we are starting with the question, first question the asked by the student is that, ma'am, do you think that this media trials and reports in some way amounts to contempt of court?
It actually does. Like I said, the KBTP Act has very clearly defined, not clearly in a section, I think section 19 also, where it is very clearly given that if there is any instance of, let's say, criminal misconduct which is conducted, or, for instance, there is defamation that happens, then a person can approach directly to the court and the contempt action can be taken against the media houses. And everybody is bound by it. It is just that there are not many people who are approaching court and trying to put in their rights which have been given to them lawfully and statutory rights which have been given.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So moving on to the next question. Next question is, ma'am, what is are your take on the recent incident wherein some news houses showed the photo and statement of the Hathras rape victim? Is it now prohibited and punishable?
Absolutely. There are several judgments which have very clearly said that the names of the rape victims should not be taken on the media channels. The identity of the rape victim, the identity of the rape victim's family should never be, disclosed by the media houses. And this we are seeing increasingly happen. I mean, if you just Google, you will see the name, you'll see the address, you'll see everything floated right across, social media. You'll see it right across media channels, and somehow people are not taking these specific provisions and these specific judgments which have come on this subject, and they're just flouting it. I think a stop has to be brought about to all of this by probably judiciary intervening and saying that when there is an order that pertains to it, you have to adhere to it.
Really a good idea, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. So moving on to our next question. Next question is, ma'am, do you think government should proactively make some rules regarding censorship for news media houses, and how can it be done considering freedom of speech and expression?
See, like I said, any freedom that comes and that is guaranteed to us under our constitution, all of that freedom comes with reasonable restriction. It is not that we've been given all the freedom and we've been told to run, here and there just to exert that. Okay, I have a freedom to speak, so I'm going to just go ahead and blast people up. It doesn't work like that. Everything comes with a reasonable restriction. And since there is a reasonable restriction which is also imposed as far as freedom of speech and expression is concerned, which is given to us under Article 19 of the Indian Constitution, it's important that the government comes up with this censorship rules, and these should be made statutory provisions because then it becomes easier to implement. Like I said, as of now, if you look at it, NDSA also for just now is a private body. It's an association of these news channels where they are regulating themselves. So how is it that if there is they are all the same people who are regulating each other? As a matter of fact, they are all compatible. So if one channel decides to impose cost on the other, how is it that that person can prove that I'm being holier than thou? That doesn't really work. So the government has to intervene. I think it is about time to do that. Not just in media houses, but also social media. I think social media requires the biggest regulation that one can think of because right now it is the most irregularized. There are fake news which is there. There are opinions which are completely marred. There is completely devoid of any evidence which is there. And you only have these opinions which are coming from here and there, and people who have very impressionable minds are actually getting distorted because of it. I feel it is important that the government should regularize. But let's see and hope for the best.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. Answer the next question is, ma'am, media comes out as pro-plaintiff in almost every case, which creates a prejudice against other party. Do you think it violates the right of other parties to be heard to a great extent?
Absolutely, like I said, judges are also human beings. The investigating officers or the police officers are human beings. So it is not that they are not getting affected by all the news that is coming in. Definitely, they are getting affected by it. We see that if there is an entire thought process which is molded towards let's say plaintiff, the defendant is definitely going to lose out on that. The presumption that should have held him or her to be considered as innocent. But then the presumption as a result of the media trial that takes place is that that person, instead of being presumed to be innocent, is always presumed to be guilty to begin with. So how is it that there is a fair trial? And fair trial is also guaranteed to us under our fundamental rights. So how is it that you are providing that to a person?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. So the next question is, ma'am, do you feel that in the incidents which are covered extensively, the chances of harshest punishment is more than in those which are given attention, even when the offense and its consequences is similar?
So, I think that is also to do with the fact that there is so much emotion which is involved for people who are doing. So, for instance, there is the same. Let's say if we are just talking about rape, for instance, there is a punishment which is given as far as rape is concerned under 376 of the IPC. Now, what happens really is that there are some areas where there is so much public pressure which is created as a result of it, that we see that maybe a harsher punishment is given, and it definitely, I think it definitely influences people. It definitely influences the minds of judge, and that we are looking at you know, it is more retributive than it is like we've all studied theories of punishment, and we've seen that the idea of punishment should be reformative. That you are able to reform a person who has committed crime to become a better person. Retribution is that you are going and uh, just because you have committed this, I'm going to take my retribution from you. I'm going to punish you in the harshest way possible. So then you're taking away a chance from another human being who could have probably changed his ways. So I think that kind of behavior does not really work for me.
Very well said, ma'am. That punishment is for reformation, not for the ending that person's life. Thank you so much, ma'am. So the next question, that is also the last question, ma'am. That is there any good that can out of media trials? Are there any pros about it?
Like I discussed this initial cases of Mrs. Sitara,
Yes,
Yadashri
ma'am.
Machu, Ruchita Ganitra, you think of Jessica Lal. Yes, so many cases which the victim got justice because of media interference. So it is not that it doesn't work, but media has to go and work beyond TRPs. Media has to work to ensure that we are able to get justice for the victim. We should not be only considered concerned about how is it that I sensationalize this piece of information and then make money out of it by TRP. That should not be the intention.
Ma'am, in present scenario, I mean in current situation, is there any pros of the media trials, ma'am?
I think we should not completely renounce that media is not doing what is the right thing to do. But I feel that the balance just now, if we see about 5% of them doing good, 95% is actually not doing so. I
Yes.
mean, I see that there are a couple of channels where they are raising issues which are of so much prominence. If there is unemployment in the country, and or the younger generation is facing so much unemployment just now, there were so many issues that came in. There was some issue pertaining to services as far as SSC recruitment was concerned and other such recruitments were concerned. Some news channels actually run an entire hour dedicated to it, or entire hour dedicated to security as far as India is concerned, because we've been extremely vulnerable as far as the China Indo-China border is concerned. So some of these things are happening. done an excellent job. But that does not mean that they are actually not discrediting themselves as well in certain areas, which I feel personally that they have to balance it. It is not. It is not for us to see because, like I said, there is a huge number of people in this country who are impressionable. And when you give them the wrong impression, they live by that impression for the rest of their lives. We have to, or rather, the media has to actually understand this responsibility in this topic.
Very well said, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I would like to call upon Mansi to give it to represent the formal vote of thanks.
First of all, thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us such an informative coverage on adverse impact on media trial on criminal trials. In question answer session, you have cleared all our doubts and topic by answering the question which has been asked by many viewers. Also, I would like to thank the Legal Law Forum team. They have worked in a background to ensure the smooth flow of this session. Ma'am, it was an absolute pleasure to have you with us today. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Mansi, Saloni, and Shubham, and also Legal Law Forum for having me here and giving me such an amazing and very challenging topic to speak today. And I hope this session you find it informative, and I hope to attend more such sessions with you all. Thank you so much, and all the best.